Hi, I'm Dr. Marc, and I'm a voice teacher and stage director. Whether you're a professional pop or rock star that's wanting to take your performance to a next level, or you're just interested in making your car singing or shower singing easier and more comfortable and fun, I can help you get there. I'll start doing that today by reacting to and teaching you singing and performing tips that we can learn from the top performers around the world. Let's learn from Sohyang and JK Kim Dongwuk singing Childish Adult from the Immortal songs.
All over the world. Hey. This is Sohyang. 말만 잘 들으라 했어. 시키는 대로 했는데 자꾸 지겨워.
Okay, so right from the start, she grabs our attention. How? How does she grab our attention right from the start? Well, she's wearing black, so it's not really flashy. She's got this intensity, this energy. She's got this big, bright smile. She's grabbing our attention right at the start with these high notes that are really buzzy forward and still have the richness to them. Our eyes are brought right to her face where we're supposed to be looking. And her partner here is also directing attention right to her as well. What an excellent team. What a great way to start a song. The runs, she's not pushing at them. She's actually kind of pulling off them as she goes along and keeping them nice and easy and consistent. She's not pushing at the top with her air. She's really trusting her resonance to do the work for her here. Yes, it makes me so excited to hear the rest. Here we go.
봐도 나는 정말 쉬웠어 보다가도 사랑 졸며 웃었어 나를 쉽게 다루는 건 막대 사탕 같은 사람
Notice that point over to him? The sign of a really great colleague to have on stage is they know how and when to take the attention for themselves and also when to give it to the other person. They don't try to hoard it for themselves. That act of give and take, of generosity, if you want to call it that, when you're really sharing the stage as a team, is so important for an audience. It's so endearing for an audience. It makes them want to be a part of that same team. So what can you do to practice that today? Well, if you're in a conversation, figure out how to draw attention to yourself when you really want to communicate. But as you're finishing communicating, figure out how to then draw the attention to someone else. You can do it by pointing. You can be looking at them. It can be by asking them a question. There's a lot of ways to do it. But how to spotlight someone else isn't just a tool for the stage, but in daily conversation. They bring people together instead of making it antagonistic. And here we feel like we're part of a really, really cool team. I don't know what else to say. I just got sucked into the performance. I don't have anything to really analyze there. It's just really fun to watch. Really fun to listen to. They're succeeding. Sweet.
Bring the beat back.
호기심을 다가오던 사랑이 내게 실증내고 섰더라고 나이가 지금 방 있고 다시 사랑받고
Here we go.
How does she get away with having so much sass? But at the same time, I feel like if I met her on the street, she'd just be the nicest person in the world. I'm not sure how this is working. Wow. That's a real gift. He's doing an excellent job as well. I'm focusing on her because it's Wednesday, and Wednesdays I have been reviewing Sohyang videos. And so this video is part of that series of videos where we're learning from Sohyang. He's also really exceptional here. He's really loose in his body. His voice, he's not pushing at it a whole lot. He's letting the mic do the job. He's got a lot of grit, a lot of really interesting sounds going on in his voice, but he's doing it in a way where he's still using that resonance, but it's got a little more warmth, a little more jazz feeling to it as well. So you'll notice that her sound is a little more bright, a little more piercing. And you'll notice that her upper two smile is much more consistent. He's a little more covered here, which is what's giving us that little bit more warm, a little more muted jazz sound. It's still forward and it's still buzzy on his part, but it's just a little more muted. It isn't as bright. It doesn't cut through as much. You could argue that she's cutting through because she's at a higher pitch, and there is some truth to that. But it's not just that. It's the entire overtone series that's coming from that voice. Does that mean one voice is better than the other? No. They're just totally different sounds. His sound is intended to kind of blend in with the entire ensemble, where hers is meant to pop out in front.
A good boy. Sounds like a good boy, good boy. 차가이 좋아. Sounds like a good boy. Sounds like 남자들은 다 난 믿지 않아. 언제나 아픈 사랑도.
One of the things that makes it sound sassy and have that kind of grit bite to it is how they're dealing with their vowels. They're really going to the second half of the diphthong or triphthong, boy instead of boy, right? Usually if we're singing in a more classical style, we stay on the beginning of the diphthong, boy, unless you're being picky and want to call them triphthongs, because that's another way to think about it. In this case, with this kind of funk sound, we really want to linger on the brighter vowels. Boy. Bo is not all that bright. E is, so boy. We're going to linger on that one. That's going to get that brighter, little bit of twangy, sassy sound in it.
Baby girl, sing it now. I can live without your love.
Who is the center of attention there? Who is the higher status singer in that moment? She was. His back was slightly turned towards the audience. His posture was more closed. His feet were closer together, which made he's a little bit lower status, a little more subservient. Her status was wide, big, grounded, strong, and she was full onto the audience, which made her higher status. She was the center of attention. Again, he's being a gentleman here. Yeah, it's not just being a gentleman. It's part of the show, and she is supposed to be the center of attention here. She has the high notes and the really virtuosic notes in there. But at the same time, he's doing such an excellent job of giving and taking the stage here. So Sohyang is more in back all the time, really. So if you want to get her sound, try crying like a baby on an sound. Wah! With that upper tooth smile, and that's going to get more of her sound. He's much more in back and not so wide in the front. It's not so whiny, not so much of a cry, but much more on the speech side than it is on the crying side. Is that a good or bad quality? No, it's just a way of thinking about how to get those specific sounds. I like them both. I think they're both really unique. I love how consistent their technique is, but also how consistent their stylistic choice is within a specific song. Really love it. And at the same time, they're giving us so much variety, which keeps us engaged and makes meaning out of what they're doing. That's always the really tricky balance of how to get all those things working together in just the right balance. And this is working excellent as far as I'm concerned. Okay, another thing they're doing as a team here is they come together and they work together really well, but then they split apart when the music has them doing very different things. When one isn't the center of attention over the other, they're kind of equally going back and forth. They're splitting off and they're engaging the entire audience as a team. And so they're really maximizing how they're engaging each other, how they're engaging the audience. This really is an exceptional example of teamwork and good teamwork on stage. Doesn't matter if it's pop song, rock song, gospel, whether it's music theater, opera, or anything else. It's the same kind of teamwork that you have to see when you have two people singing at the same time on stage. And this is exceptional. Other thing I've been noticing as they've been performing, are they totally smooth, slick all the time? Is their footwork always really graceful? No, in fact, sometimes their footwork is a little clunky. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem. In fact, if it was super slick here, it would actually push us away. It would feel too perfect, too right. Because it is cohesive, because it's authentic, it's genuine, and they are so engaged with their face and letting their body just respond how their body normally would in everyday life to these emotions, to this music. It makes them want to move, makes them want to dance, makes them want to make these facial gestures, do things with their hands. They're just letting it go. We actually engage with it more because it's not overly perfect, overly precious, because that wouldn't fit this style. It wouldn't fit this. It wouldn't fit this kind of performance. It just wouldn't. It would feel like it was too rehearsed, too sterile. What's the lesson we can learn from this? Play. Go and play. Instead of worrying about, do I look stupid? This feels kind of awkward. Just go for it and go big and have a good time. Not worrying about how beautiful, how right, how wrong, what your teacher would think, what your best friend would think, what the audience is going to think. Don't. All they care is they really want to see you really invested in this song. So start doing that today. Start finding times to play. One of my favorite ways to learn how to play, to be silly, be ridiculous, and to actually perform, I've learned a lot from reading books to my children. If I read and I try different voices on and I try to be silly and ridiculous, it's actually really therapeutic, because what I realize is that they care about what is fun, what's interesting, what's true to the story, what's unique. And children are actually a really good gauge of good or bad performers. Just about any time I put an opera on, at least some of my kids, if not all my kids, come to the show, depending on how old they are. And I always ask them afterwards, and they almost always identify right off the bat the things that I'm most excited about and the things that I am most concerned about. I haven't talked to them. They haven't heard me talk about it. Usually when I'm really in the middle of the performance, they're not seeing me a whole lot because I'm gone early in the morning and come home really late at night. But when I talk to them, they hit it right on the head, almost 100% of the time. The other thing with children is they're really forgiving. And so it's a really great way to get really honest feedback without feeling judged or hurt and without putting us back in our shell. It's a great way to help to learn to come out of that shell and to trust our instincts, trust our impulses, and trust that if it is a little weird, a little quirky, a little off, that it just might get a better response from the audience overall.
자꾸 지겨워
Hear him as he went up to that top, and when he's on the bottom is covered here and is more on the back. And then as he started to approach the passaggio, as he started going up, all of a sudden it shifted towards an ah, and it popped him right up there. Super easy, super clean. Wow. What excellent singers, what excellent performers. So much to take away here. I hope that you learned something from it. I definitely did. One of the things that it made me want to do today is to be a better friend. I know that sounds a little odd, but as I'm watching them, there's just such good team members. There's so much give and take, that symbiosis, that working together, that selflessness, but also willing to just be vulnerable and put yourself out there and not hold back at the same time, not be subservient all the time. But again, that give and take, that's actually one of the things that I have been most moved by and enjoyed most in everyday life and in my interactions with other people. And seeing this makes me want to engage in more of that, to be someone who is more aware of the people around them, knows how to, and is more aware of, and is purposely trying to highlight the people around me, trying to put them in the spotlight and show them in their best light, how to serve them and make them feel valued and cherished. That's what it made me think of today. Maybe I'm feeling a little sentimental, I don't know. But I'm grateful to all those people in my life that have shown me what that is to be a good friend and to be a good colleague and to have that give and take on the stage and off of it. If you want a voice lesson or performance coaching or want me to work with you or your group to sing easier and to perform at a consistently higher level, book a time with me at mrperformingartsstudio.com. I look forward to working with you online.